Little Red Riding Hood by Lucy Pack, illustrated by Kajaya Jacobs. It was a sunshiny Sunday afternoon, and like every sunshiny Sunday afternoon, Little Red Riding Hood was off to see her grandmother. Her mother packed her a picnic, kissed her goodbye, and gave Little Red Riding Hood the same warning she gave her every week. Go straight to grandmother's house. The woods are dangerous, so be very careful. Don't talk to strangers and don't linger in the forest. However, when she got to the middle of the woods, Little Red Riding Hood got so distracted by the fresh new flowers that she forgot her mother's warning and lingered in the woods long enough for a strange figure to make its way towards her. It was a wolf. "Are you lost, little girl?" the wolf asked. No, I'm bringing this picnic to my grandmother's house on the other side of the forest," Little Red Riding Hood answered, "and I'm actually quite late, so I really must be going." Little Red Riding Hood skipped towards her grandmother's house, but the wolf knew a shortcut. The wolf knocked on grandmother's door, and thinking it was Little Red Riding Hood, grandmother said, "Come on in, dearie." Just as she was pulling fresh-baked cookies out of the oven, grandmother noticed the reflection of a wolf in the oven door. Grandmother didn't even remove her oven mitts before the wolf gobbled her up. The wolf heard a soft knock on the door as he slipped into one of grandmother's nightgowns. "Come on in, dearie," he said as he squirted some of grandmother's perfume behind his ears. By the time Little Red Riding Hood stepped into the house, the wolf had nestled into grandmother's cozy bed. "You don't look very well," Little Red Riding Hood said. "I just have a touch of a cold, dearie," the wolf replied. Little Red Riding Hood tiptoed towards the bed. "But grandmother, what big ears you have!" she exclaimed. "The better to hear you with, dearie," the wolf replied. "And what big eyes you have!" Little Red Riding Hood said nervously. "The better to see you with, dearie," the wolf replied. "And what big teeth you have!" Little Red Riding Hood said very nervously. "The better to eat you with," the wolf replied as he jumped out of bed. "Wolf! Wolf!" cried Little Red Riding Hood as loud as she could while running as fast as she could. Luckily, grandmother's neighbor was outside planting in his garden, and he heard Little Red Riding Hood's cries. The wolf chased Little Red Riding Hood out the front door, and the neighbor bonked the wolf on the head with his shovel so hard that he spit out grandmother, oven mitts and all. Grandmother was quite shook up, but after a long hug from Little Red Riding Hood, she felt much better. Little Red Riding Hood, grandmother, and the neighbor gobbled up the batch of cookies as Little Red Riding Hood promised to never linger or talk to strangers again, and to always listen to her mother's warnings.